Last time on the Skip and Josh podcast.
I noticed that there's some games that are on the Golf Channel.
Because the Golf Channel and NBC are affiliated.
Yeah,
I didn't realize they were doing that.
So does that mean Steve Sands is doing the games?
He might. That's great, he might.
Yeah, no. But I mean, look, I shouldn't, I'm not criticizing that at all, because I'm the one that's told you, how many times have I told you that it doesn't matter what channel things are on anymore?
No.
You know, back in the day, you used to say, oh, the game's on CBS, or oh, the game's on NBC, or oh, the game's on this. Now, I don't even know what channel games are on anymore, and I don't care what channel games are on anymore.
The Skip and Josh podcast is on now.
Hello.
Skippy?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great.
By the way, no one cares about this, but it's April 15th. It's your birthday, so happy birthday. That's the first thing. That's the most important thing.
Thank you very much.
That's not the part that people don't care about. The part that people don't care about is that in Toronto, it looks like the middle of winter. There is tons of snow. It's cold, and it's not just like regular fluffy snow. It's hard, ice-packed snow. There was freezing rain yesterday, and cleaning your car takes forever because it's like caked onto the car. It's disgusting.
I actually consulted the foremost weather expert in North America.
Sean Button?
No, my wife.
Oh, right.
And I said, did you hear about this snowstorm they're having in Toronto? She's like, yeah. Don't worry, we're not going to get it. By the time it comes here, it's all going to be rain. So all you Montrealers out there, don't worry. So you texted me earlier saying that the show was going to be loaded.
Well,
you had a loaded show.
Because there's a lot going on right now.
I mean, I have a few points that I wanted to talk about, but maybe I'll let you take the lead, and let's start with like what you want to talk about. Because I have a feeling all the stuff on your list is going to be on mine too.
You're probably right. Before we get into my list, today is a very important day. Not only is it your birthday, a lot of things happen on April 15th every year. I don't know if people are aware how important this day is.
Well, Americans, it's their day. Their taxes are due.
That's right. And it's also Jackie Robinson Day in Major League Baseball.
Yes.
And there's a fourth thing, which for some reason I've been scouring the internet and I can no longer find.
A fourth? That's only 3.
Right, there's a fourth thing.
No, but this is only the third thing. The first is my birthday.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you're right. There's a fourth thing. Sorry.
Math, you didn't do so well in math in high school.
No. Counting is a problem.
The fourth thing, I'm pretty sure a famous US president died on April 15th, and I can't find it online anywhere. But there's definitely a fourth thing about this day in history, and I don't know what it is.
All right, maybe the listeners can email us and tell us.
Right. That said,
all the history buffs out there.
That said, we can get to the sports stuff.
Okay, let's get to that.
Major League Baseball.
We need a new segment because we did a segment on this last time, and it seems like it keeps coming up. And that's injuries.
Injuries. Okay.
I can't remember in baseball this year, in basketball this year, in football this past year, and even in hockey, there seem to be a lot more injuries than ever before. And I don't know why it is, and it's not just concussions, but I have to read you a little clip, an actual story from ESPN.com.
Okay.
The next time the Chicago Cubs are in Cincinnati, first baseman Anthony Rizzo may hit the floor at the team hotel instead of the bed. Rizzo, who was placed on the 10-day DL with back tightness, thinks a hotel bed may have played a part in his back issues. I think the next time I go to Cincinnati, I'll sleep on the floor, Rizzo said. I just have to take care of myself better.
Oh, my Lord.
These are actual stories. Like, this actually happened.
I stay in a lot of different hotels, and I could tell you there's some hotels, beds are better than others, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I find it hard to believe that a major league team like the Chicago Cubs is staying in, like, the Days Inn. or you know what I mean?
I know.
Like, they stay at nice hotels. Like, there's... I mean, look, Rizzo can believe whatever he wants. Maybe the bed did cause his back stiffness, but I find it a little bit far-fetched, no?
It was, when I heard this, I said, well, I'm going to have to mention this on the show, because especially on the heels of how Nelson Cruz got injured and that I think it was the Kansas City Royals catcher. I'm not sure.
Salvador Perez.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it seems like there's one of these every week. It's the gift that
That's
keeps
great.
on giving.
So he's actually on the 10-day DL because of a hotel bed.
Well, he
says it's a hotel bed.
This was a few days ago, so I think he may be off the DL now, or if not, he's coming off the DL soon.
Right. Okay.
So, in other news, and we can stick with baseball.
Yes, please. I do have one baseball thing or two.
Okay. And it also relates to injuries.
Mm-hmm.
But did you hear about David Price and his last start?
No, what about it?
He lasted only 1 inning because he said he felt some kind of tingling or numbness in his hand.
Okay.
He only lasted an inning, and now he's not missing his next start, but he's starting a day later than he normally would have.
But I think I've heard of that before with the pitcher. Can't remember the name. I'm pretty sure I've heard of that kind of symptom before. But whatever. I mean,
but the bigger picture here is this guy can't stay healthy. Like,
no, I mean,
his career could be done.
He's the best, not the best. He's the worst pitcher to have a contract like the size of his contract. Like he's getting paid like an ace and he's delivering like a middle reliever, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I am a Red Sox fan and I hope he does well. But I mean, if Red Sox fans are counting on David Price to kind of make or break their season, they're going to be, they're not going to be happy.
No,
right?
I mean, somehow the Red Sox are having a great season. So
no, their team is loaded. Their lineup's great and their pitching's holding up. So
they're off to their best start ever, I think.
Yeah.
In the history of the team.
So there is something I wanted to talk about in baseball.
Great.
There was 2 brawls this week.
Oh, jeez. I'm glad you brought this up.
So one of them was your guy, Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, he's big.
He got beamed I should say. He got hit by a pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, oh boy, was he ever furious. He looked like he wanted to kill the pitcher. He came out there with so much anger. It was unbelievable. And then the other fight was the Red Sox Yankees. That was actually Tyler Austin. They definitely hit him intentionally. There's no doubt in my mind, right? Because they were claiming that he had slid in hard
at second base
on Brock Holt at second base, and then when Austin came up, the Red Sox definitely hit him on purpose. Now, there's 2 things I wanted to talk about baseball fights. The result of both of these fights is not the result, but like what happened in both of these fights is the same thing that happens in every baseball fight. There's one punch thrown. There's not the punch doesn't connect with anybody, and then everybody else stands around. That's a baseball fight. Generally. And then the other stupid thing about all this is like, why are these guys so sensitive? Like Arenado got hit by a pitch and he came out looking like he wanted to kill someone. And Austin, I understand, he was definitely hit on purpose. There's no doubt about it. But this business of sliding in hard on second base, like, get over it. Like these guys needs to get over it. They're playing a professional sport. There's contact sometimes. Like not anytime someone grazes your pinky finger, it's not a dirty play.
So here's what I'm going to say about this. First of all, there's rules now in place that you're not allowed to take out the second baseman or the shortstop. So in fact, if he did that and he broke the rule, then he should have been tossed from the game.
Right.
And then if he was tossed from the game, he would not have been hit by the pitch in the following inning or whatever.
Right.
In any case. But my theory on if you hit a batter, if you're a pitcher and you hit a batter, I think you should be tossed immediately.
Well, that's
my philosophy
harsh.
Because there are so many pitchers out there who intentionally hit batters just to like send a message or whatever it is, or because one of his teammates hit a home run an inning earlier and trotted around the bases too slowly. Like, you should not be, like, you have a weapon in your hand. You're throwing that thing at almost 100 miles an hour. You should be thrown out of the game if you hit a batter.
But you can't just say you're going to throw guys out for hitting a batter. Like, sometimes they lose control of the pitch. It goes, sometimes they pitch inside. Guys have this body armor on their arms now.
Right.
Like, they lean into it and get it on purpose.
As I said about a year ago on this show, I said, don't let the batters wear the body armor. However, if a batter gets hit, that pitcher's tossed. By the way, if you put in that rule that says you hit a batter, you're tossed, you'll see no batters will get hit because these pitchers all have very good control. Yes, I understand sometimes a pitch gets away and whatever, and everyone in the ballpark knows when it's intentional and when it's not intentional. But it's just, you can't be allowing that to happen. That's
Matt,
my philosophy.
If your crazy rule were implemented, offense in the league would go way up.
Okay.
And actually, Major League Baseball would be really happy because pitchers would be afraid to pitch inside.
I know, you're right.
So it would there would be a really marked advantage for the batters.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and then the other annoying thing about this business of baseball fights is that Kelly, the pitcher on the Red Sox, got suspended for 6 games, and Austin got suspended for 5. But the pitcher doesn't play every game.
Yeah, he
right?
might miss a start, maybe.
So the whole suspension thing is really, really stupid. If they really wanted to send a message, forget about your rule about no hitting, but if they really want to send a message, you suspend them for 10 games, 20 games. You really suspend them, and then you see what happens. Then you're going to see also that this problem's going to go away.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The other thing, look, we talked about him every episode. We talked about baseball. Is Shohei Ohtani? It's unbelievable how good this guy is. He's single-handedly excited me about staying up late and watching Angels games.
You get Angels games?
I'll try to, but it's incredible. And did you read this week? He told the manager he wants to play more. He wants to hit more because he's not hitting enough.
Of course. Why wouldn't he want to play every day? I get it.
Yeah, because as it is, they said he's not going to bat the days that he pitches, and then he's not going to bat the days before or the day after he pitches. So that means he's only batting, 2 out of 5. That's not enough.
It's not enough.
Especially for the way he's hitting.
I know, but, and they say part of the reason that he doesn't bat the day before and the day after is because he has to chart one of the games, every starting.
That's stupid.
I know, anyone can chart a game. Why does it have to be him?
Charting a game? Give me a break. If they really wanted him to hit, believe me, he'll hit. If the Angels make it to the World Series, he's gonna hit in every game. If he continues to hit 300 and he has 30 homers, you don't think they're gonna play him?
Of course, I think I think they will.
Yeah, and the other thing is, did you see him run? He's super fast.
I actually haven't seen any of his games yet.
He hit a triple the other day. The guy can run. I was like, I'm all excited. I feel like a kid, it's very exciting, because the stats are ridiculous. The stats that they show on TV are absolutely stupid. They're he's the first player in 100 years to do this and this and this, they're saying to get a homer and a win in the same week, or whatever stat they want to pull out of their hat. But the first player in 100 years, that doesn't mean anything. They're
because there's never been a guy who's been a pitcher and a hitter before.
They never tried to, so.
And by the way, we have this conversation all the time. When they're in Little League, and even when they're in high school, and even when they're in college, the best player on the team is the pitcher, and he's also batting third on the team.
Every single player in the major leagues, whatever team they were on, up to the age of 18, the pitcher played shortstop.
Yeah, when he wasn't pitching.
Right?
And was the best hitter on the team.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, they get into the minor leagues, are no, you're just going to be a pitcher now. No more hitting for you.
So annoying.
It is ridiculous,
yeah.
Right? But I'm hoping that this is not just a one-time thing with this one Japanese player, right? And they're going to say, he's a Japanese player. They're going to make excuses. That's the way they do it over there. Why can't this become the norm? Or maybe not the norm, but why can't this happen more? I want to see more guys playing both hitting and pitching.
It would help teams too, because you're getting 2 players for the price of 1.
Absolutely.
It saves you a roster spot. Instead of having to carry a pitcher and a hitter, you have this one guy who does both, and it only takes up 1 spot on your roster instead of 2.
But in the National League, when the Giants play and Bumgarner pitches, they have a huge advantage because he can hit.
Yes.
And he can't even hit one, half as good as Ohtani. Bumgarner can hit because every now and then he can hit a home run.
Although he thinks he's a good hitter, if he played every day.
Yeah, but realistically, how good of a hitter is he?
I don't know.
He's a good hitter for a pitcher, right? He's a really good hitter for a pitcher. But Ohtani is a good hitter for a hitter.
Yes.
The
only drawback about Ohtani, because he doesn't play every day, he's not good in fantasy baseball.
No. I'm hoping
because he doesn't play every day. So
Right, but like I would still pick him up. Well, yeah, it's hard to say because if you're doing like a head-to-head league like you do,
mhm.
that's very, very tricky because you never know when to put him in. Right.
Well, you know, even
And then-
because you know when he's pitching, so you know when he's not hitting, but he's going to
Yeah.
miss too many games as a hitter. As a
Yeah,
pitcher, he's
right.
good to have in fantasy. As a hitter, he's not.
Right.
So
Did you have any other baseball stuff?
yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of baseball stuff. We talked about a month or two ago about new podcasts that we started listening to.
Yeah, I wanted to know you told me you subscribed to a bunch of new baseball podcasts because you're excited about the season, but
I did.
which ones?
So-
Because I only listen to really like one baseball podcast, and I like it, but I don't love it. So if you have some recommendations, I would love it.
Well, you're one of these you know about, and you're not going to like any of these because they're all focused on fantasy baseball.
Oh well, the fantasy. Yeah, okay.
So one of them
tell me
is
which
the
ones.
Fantasy 411, which we used to listen to all the time.
Well, who hosts that now?
It's a different guy that I've never heard of, and the thing is, there's only been like one episode in the last like 10 days or 2 weeks. They don't do it every day like they used to. But
Right.
funny enough, the guests that they had on that one episode that I listened to were Ciano and Schwartz.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, the Fantasy 411 is probably the first podcast that I ever listened to. Honestly.
Yes.
I mean, that or Tony Kornheiser, I'm not sure. But like we're talking about like iPods era.
Yeah, yeah.
The original iPod era.
Absolutely.
Like first version of iTunes like times, And I used to love it with Schwartz and Ciano. It was great. But then they got a little bit too fancy because they got taken over by MLB.com. Like
Mhm.
they got absorbed into, well, they always were part of MLB, but they got a bigger, higher profile and they brought in like a professional host, which actually made the show worse
Yeah.
because Schwartz and Ciano were great as they were.
Yes.
Yeah. So what else do you listen to?
Well, the other ones there's one called Flags Fly Forever, which is the people from Baseball Prospectus.
Oh, okay,
And
that's
it's-
good. But
it's-
Flags Fly Forever was Corey Schwartz's thing. He used to always say
That
that.
was his expression. Yes.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this, I don't know. I don't know if Corey Schwartz has anything to do with this podcast because I listened to one episode. He was
Yeah.
not on it. It was people
Yeah,
I've
okay.
never heard of. It was people from Baseball Prospectus.
Well, that's
And
good. It's
while,
very stats
While
driven.
they know all their stats and they know everything,
Yeah.
it's not a good podcast. Like
No.
it just sounds like, you know how our first episode sounded when we didn't know what we were talking about and how to do a
Yeah.
show? That's
Yeah,
what it
okay.
sounds like.
Right. Okay.
So
Hopefully we got better since 90 episodes.
hopefully we did.
Yeah.
The other two there's ESPN Fantasy Focus Baseball.
That's solid. That's always solid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not bad. And the other one is, and this one's kind of, well, it could be good or bad depending. It's every single day and it's an hour every day, so it's a
Whoa.
lot. It's a big commitment. It's CBS Fantasy Baseball Today,
Okay.
and
Well, I
the
mean, if
the
you're
guys know what they're talking about. But like an hour a day every day is a big commitment.
right. I mean, if you're into fantasy baseball, those are certainly good picks, right?
Yes.
I mean, I don't. You don't even have time to listen to all of those.
No, I
you
don't.
know,
I
so.
absolutely don't.
The only baseball podcast I listen to is the Ringer MLB show,
Mhm.
which is part of the Ringer network. I enjoy it, but I mean, they don't really focus on fantasy, So, and I don't know if do you ever listen to Baseball Tonight, Buster Olney?
No, but maybe I'll.
He
Start.
does like a daily. He does a daily, but I don't love it because a lot of times he has guests,
Oh,
and when I say guests, like there's nothing wrong with guests, but like I don't like podcasts where they interview players.
no,
Like that's no good.
it's a waste of time.
That's just a waste of time. So I tend to like not always listen to his show.
What I would love is if there's a show that every night just recaps what happened in baseball, like a good 15-minute show or 20-minute show.
Well, that's Buster Olney's show, but that you might want to skip the parts that you don't like, but that's generally what he does.
The National Hockey League.
You want to talk a little about the NHL playoffs?
I do.
Oh, good. Me too.
So, couple things. You remember how you just said a few minutes ago how, like, when Shohei Ohtani does all this stuff, they're like, it's the first time in 100 years that anyone has done this?
Yeah.
So, how many times have I heard in the last week, it's the first time an expansion team has won their first playoff game. It's the first time an expansion team has got a shutout in their first playoff game. It's the
Yeah.
first time an expansion team has won an overtime game in the play. Like, obviously, because an expansion team has never been in the playoffs.
Right.
It's so
right.
annoying to hear it.
It is annoying because like they're gonna keep setting records, right?
Every time they do anything, they get a penalty.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the first time they've done that.
It's true. I mean, anytime they do something, it's gonna be a record, right, for an expansion team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
while I am happy that they're up 2-0 in their series, I just don't like when these so-called experts talk about all these stats.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the playoffs so far has gone pretty much according to plan. Like our predictions and the majority of the experts out there. The only surprise is that how the Flyers really came back to win Game 2 after they got destroyed in Game 1.
I think they were pissed about that embarrassment in Game 1.
That's interesting. I mean, I still think the Penguins. You're the one that always. Your rule is for any NHL playoff series is you can't determine anything until after Game 3.
Right.
Right. The Game 3 is usually
the pivotal
like
game.
a tipping point sometimes, right? Because either someone's going to be up 2-1 or someone's going to be up 3-0.
Right. And if it's 3-0, it's, I mean, it's not done, but it's kind of almost done.
So the Flyers and Penguins are playing this afternoon. I didn't look at the score yet, and we don't.
Well, it hasn't started yet.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I mean, if the Flyers could pull that off, it would be huge. But other than that, I mean, look, Columbus won that first game against Washington. Although Washington's favorite, I don't think it's anybody. I don't think it's a shock to anybody, and it's also only one game, so it doesn't mean anything.
But also, it was an overtime, and you know as well as I do, once a game goes into overtime, it doesn't matter if you ended the season in first place or last place. Anything can happen in overtime.
Anything could happen, yeah. And what's going on? I mean, I know you mentioned it's crazy weather in Toronto, but like, are the Leafs fans like falling off the bandwagon?
It's like people are so upset about the Leafs. I mean, especially yesterday, because I walked into a bar last night and I didn't know what was going on in the game, and it was like 5 minutes left in the first period. It was already 4-0.
Yeah,
like it was over before it even started.
Look, I know the Bruins are good. We both agreed that the Bruins are a good team, and they should beat the Leafs. We both picked them, but I didn't see it. I didn't see like these two like destructions. Like that kind of caught me off guard. Although it shouldn't really, because everybody kind of knew all year the Leafs are a high flying team. They can score, but they don't play defense. They have a little bit of problems on defense, and if the goalie is not up to his game, they're in trouble, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
Right.
And the Bruins are just pushing them around and doing whatever they want.
By the way, since we're talking about that series, I can't stand Brad Marchand.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw what he did to Leo Komarov.
I saw, yeah.
He licked him.
Brad Marchand's an idiot.
What is that? And how do you not get suspended for that?
Are they not going to suspend him?
I don't know. He played the next game.
It kind of reminds me of like a few years ago with Alex Burrows with like against the Canucks, against the
Blackhawks?
No, against the Bruins. Remember, like him and Bergeron had something going with putting their fingers in their faces.
That's
and
right.
stuff.
That's right. Or in basketball when someone blew in LeBron's ear.
Yeah, it was
the guy in the Pacers.
Stevenson, yeah, the guy in the Pacers. I don't know. Like Marchand's a moron, and he probably won't get suspended for that because no one got hurt. But he should get some kind of warning for sure.
I don't want anybody licking me.
No, never. And well, I mean, Kadri got suspended for that game. I was actually impressed with the NHL a little bit because they suspended Kadri and they suspended Drew Doughty.
I saw the Drew Doughty play only once and only from one angle. Even though it's been shown a million times, I haven't seen it a million times. It
was dirty, but it was about the 500th dirtiest play that you've seen this year.
It didn't look so
honestly
bad.
No, that's it. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it was like a hit to the head, right? Which obviously they want to try to get rid of. But that's why I was so surprised. It's like they came right down with like one game suspension, so.
Wasn't the player that got hit, wasn't he sort of leaning down and like...
He was, yeah.
So, I mean, what are you supposed to do if the player's head is at the level of your chest or your stomach? Like, what are you supposed to do?
I don't know.
Anyway.
And in Toronto, are they defending Nazem Kadri or...
No, I think people realize that he deserved to be suspended.
He's a weasel. I mean, that's how he is.
I mean, also he was livid because of something that had happened like 5 minutes earlier in the game or whatever.
I know. I heard the interview with him after, and he's basically trying to justify what he did by saying, well, they took a run at so-and-so before. I'm like, yeah, that's playoff hockey. Sometimes guys get hit. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you have to be a dirty little weasel the next play. You
Right.
know, it's if the whole thing is about getting revenge, then let's play some different game. We're not playing hockey anymore.
Right. Also, I
Yeah.
mean, the other part of it, and he does deserve to be suspended, but as he was hitting Wingles was falling to the ice even
Yeah.
before he hit him.
Yes,
And so it
I do
made it
agree
look
with
a
that.
lot worse
I think it was.
than it actually was.
Kadri has a reputation; it's well earned. You know, but I don't know. I guess the Leafs look like they're just dead in the water. Honestly, it's too bad.
Well, I mean,
but
they haven't lost a home game yet.
like I said,
So-
Game 3 is obviously very important.
Right.
But
I mean, if they
they've
can
been
bounce back
manhandled.
and win Game 3, then it's a series. But, you know.
yeah, not holding my breath.
No.
Anything more about hockey?
No, there have
I
been
don't-
more goals scored than I thought there would be
A lot more.
overall in the playoffs.
Is it because of bad defense, goaltending?
I have no
Like,
idea. Like the Flyers
Well, I mean-
Penguins series has a lot of goals. The Nashville
Leafs.
Colorado series has a lot of goals.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Not
the
Vegas.
The Bruins Leafs series has a lot of goals. Yeah, the Vegas Kings is like the lowest scoring series. What are there? 3 goals in that entire series?
Yeah, I'm really happy for Marc-Andre Fleury, you know, because he flies under the radar in terms of really good goalies, you know?
Mhm.
And I think when he's on his game, he's as good as anybody. It's when he's not on his game and he's wildly inconsistent that he's a bit scary, you know, if you're a fan. So
You never know what you're going to get.
you don't.
The National Football League.
Do you want to talk? Can I talk about football for a second?
Well, yeah, because that was on my list too.
I mean, we haven't really talked that much about the NFL offseason, but I feel like there was such a big move yesterday
I
that I
know.
just wanted to talk about.
Let's do that because it's unbelievable.
What, Des Bryant?
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I even said this to you a month or two ago when all these good players were getting released. Like, didn't
Yeah.
the Packers release Nelson?
Yeah, Jordy Nelson.
Okay, and then there were like, and how many? The Seahawks let Sherman go,
Yeah.
and who's the other guy the Seahawks let go?
Well, Michael Bennett. Yeah.
Right, and I think there was even a third guy. But anyway, and now Des Bryant, like arguably
Yeah.
one of the best wide receivers in the game.
Well, look, he hasn't had a 1,000-yard receiving season since 2014, so that's one thing. And he's making like $16 million, so that's another thing.
That's nothing for the
And
Cowboys. though.
I know, but the NFL is like put up or shut up. You know, if you have a couple down years and you're making a lot of money, then you're gone. But like the thing that doesn't surprise me. Well, like guys get released. This is normal.
Yeah, it's the only sport where it happens.
What I like about this story is the stories that you're hearing around it.
Okay,
Well, you know, it was a meeting with just him and Jerry Jones.
I didn't know that.
No agents or anything. So, you know, he knows going in he's about to get released. Like, he has to know, right? Now, supposedly when he left the meeting, he said, I'll be seeing you twice next year.
I heard
meaning
that.
Meaning like his intention is to sign with an NFC East team.
Eagles, Redskins, or Giants.
Right. Now, the Redskins could definitely use him. So could Giants. I have a theory about the Giants.
Well, if they lose Odell Beckham, then yes, because you can't have both those guys on the same team.
there was rumors that the Giants were going to trade Beckham
Right.
to get like big assets and maybe they replace him with Dez. Eagles certainly are not interested. I think they have enough receivers and they have enough cap trouble. But the Redskins would be interesting. Now, the stuff I heard this morning is that none of those teams are interested in Dez.
Mhm.
And I'm fairly certain he's going to end up on the Packers to replace Jordy Nelson or the Patriots.
I was gonna say he's gonna end up with Belichick, and
Yeah.
he's gonna have like if he's on the Patriots, he's gonna have the best season of his life.
Yeah. Well, he'll have to have the best season of his life if he wants to continue his career, because he's only going to get signed now to a 1-year contract. No one's signing him long
Oh
term.
no, of course, yeah.
Right? He's going to take a bargain contract to go somewhere where, and he should choose his situation to put himself in a position where he can have a great year.
Mhm.
And then if he has a really good year, then, someone will pick him up he can make another 2-3 years of NFL money,
I'd love to see him go to the Packers because it was that no catch. It was against the Packers. So imagine he goes to play for them now.
And now, that catch, they changed the rule.
They changed the
Now
rule.
That catch would count. So
Hilarious if he played for the Packers.
on the Packers, he would be interesting because he's exactly the type of receiver that Aaron Rodgers likes, like a big guy like that, So
And they lost Nelson, so they need another receiver.
Yeah. Yeah. That's everything on my list. What else do you got?
I got nothing else.
That's it.
Yeah.
It was a jam-packed show.
It was.
We did baseball.
Hockey and football.
We did hockey and a little bit of football.
We didn't even talk about the NBA playoffs.
There's nothing to talk about the NBA playoffs. The NBA playoff. Well, look, they're only one day in,
I know.
right? They're only one day in, and the first round of the NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs are the opposite of each other.
Mm-hmm.
The NHL playoffs usually are at its best at the beginning.
Yes.
And sometimes the hockey is good throughout, but it's certainly the first round is the most exciting.
Agreed.
The NBA playoffs, we don't even need to talk about till the conference finals.
Right.
Honestly, we don't need to talk about it. There won't be any upsets. Maybe like the 4-5 game, the series, like maybe. But that's it. Like it's going to go according to plan, and that'll be that,
Agreed.
Although I do like the NBA playoffs, especially when it gets into the like I said, when it gets deeper into it, I do find it. I do really get wrapped up in it somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see Golden State play Houston, and I don't know if
if Curry's injured, only if Curry's healthy, right? Because right now he's not there.
And also, I don't think this can happen, but I would love to see Toronto play Cleveland. But if that happens, it's going to happen next round, not in the conference finals, right?
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Do they re-rank in the NBA after each round?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't know either.
I'm not sure. So I heard you had some kind of big dinner last night.
So it's one of these stupid fancy restaurants. It's not like you just order a steak or a burger or whatever. It's like there's a chef and a sous chef, and you could see them making the meal, and like they come, and it's all about the presentation on the plate, and it's a huge plate with like a tiny little portion of food. You know what I mean? It's one of those places. But I didn't, and there's only like 2 things I maybe would have eaten on this menu, but it didn't matter because we were getting all a bunch of sharing plates. So it didn't matter what I liked. So already I'm not happy because now I'm going to have to eat things that I don't like, or I'm just not going to eat. So anyway, each thing comes out, and like, I don't know, there were like 10 things, and I ate like 3 of them or 4 of them. There were 5 or 6 I didn't even touch at all. But regardless of whether I like the food or don't like the food or whatever, it really bothered me that they didn't even bring like a serving spoon or fork or anything with the food. So everyone was using their own fork. Now, when it's the first dish, it's not a big deal. But by the second dish, you've already put your fork in your mouth, and now you're putting it in the... It's like, I was so pissed about this. I didn't say anything, but I was so pissed because that's disgusting.
It's actually a good point.
It's disgusting.
Especially it's supposed to be such a fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh god.
Anyway, so that really bothered me. Anyway, and then whatever. Oh, the dessert comes. Like, and again, it's one of these places where they don't tell you what the dessert is. They make it up the day of. So I wasn't going to have any of it because I saw everyone was digging into it with their own fork that they'd already put in their mouth. Oh, and by the way, you would think for dessert you could get a new plate and a new fork and not have to use the same fork that you used to eat chicken 2 minutes ago. You're using it for your dessert? Seriously? And then everyone's sticking their own fork in the dessert, so there was no way I was going to touch it anyway. But even if no one wanted the dessert and they gave it all to me and it was not touched by anyone, I still wouldn't have eaten it. Why? Because it was this nice chocolate like tart or whatever you want to call it, which looked actually good. Except, what did they do? What did they put on top of the chocolate tart?
Bacon.
Mushrooms.
What?
Mushrooms.
That's mental.
It is mental.
That doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense.
That's dessert. Chocolate mushroom tart. That's very pretentious. That's just like...
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
That's like trying to be different just for the sake of being different.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some things that go and there's some things that just don't go. All right, it's your favorite part of the show.
It's the show close.
The show close. So, before we sign off, remember, you can listen and subscribe to new and archived episodes of the Skip and Josh podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, pretty much any podcast app that you like to use, we're on there. We would love to hear from you, skipandjoshshow@gmail.com. You can tweet to us at skipandjosh, or you can like and follow our Facebook page. And as always, skipandjosh.com. You can get all our episodes and all the links to everything I just said.
Beautiful.
All right. I'll talk to you next time.
Have a great week.
The Skip and Josh podcast is over now. Don't worry, there'll be another episode soon.